You have been taught a great lie, a deception that has kept you in lack and struggle. You believe that money is something you must chase, something you must labor and strive for in the outer world. This very belief is the barrier that stands between you and your abundance. There is a principle, a divine law, that when understood, reverses this entire outward struggle. It is not about attracting something from without, but about awakening to a certain activity of consciousness that operates as the very substance of supply itself. I want to reveal to you the nature of this inner activity, this specific adjustment in your awareness that allows the infinite resources of the universe to flow into your experience without this exhausting effort you have come to accept as normal. Stay with this, for what you are about to hear may change your relationship with supply forever. For your entire life, you have been operating under a fundamental misconception, one that has directed all your efforts, your anxieties, and your strategies concerning supply. This is the core of the illusion, the conviction that money, abundance, and security are external objectives to be hunted, captured, and secured. You see it as a target on the horizon, and so you spend your days running toward it, devising plans to seize it, and living in fear that you might not reach it in time. This entire framework, this worldview of the chase, is the very activity that perpetuates the sense of separation from what you seek. It is the great lie of outward pursuit. Consider the simple, daily evidence of this struggle. You wake up, and immediately your mind begins its calculations. You assess the bills against the bank balance. You project your energy against the demands of the day, all with the underlying goal of acquiring, of securing, of getting. You go to your job or your business, and while your hands are busy with tasks, your mind is occupied with the ledger. How much will this bring? What will that cost? Where is the next payment coming from? Your conversations, your worries, even your dreams at night are colored by this relentless narrative of pursuit. You are like a person standing on the shore, desperately grasping at the waves, trying to pull the entire ocean toward you, only to find your hands empty and your strength spent. The ocean cannot be captured that way. It can only be entered, surrendered to, and allowed to support you. This exhausting effort is not the natural order of supply. It is the symptom of a consciousness that believes it is separate from its source. When you believe you are a solitary individual in a vast, competitive universe, forced to wrestle your good from an unwilling world, you are engaging in a form of idolatry. You are worshiping the effect, the currency, the job, the investment, while turning your back on the cause. You are praying to the wave and ignoring the ocean. This outward striving is, in fact, a declaration of lack. It is a continuous affirmation that says, I do not have, therefore I must struggle to get. And the universe, which operates on principle, faithfully responds to this prayer by perpetuating the condition of not having, of always needing to get. The truth that shatters this illusion is that the substance of all things, including what appears as money, is not a physical object, but a spiritual essence. It is the living, intelligent substance of the universe itself, the very fabric of being. This substance is not scarce, it is infinite. It is not distant, it is the ground upon which you stand. It is the activity of the divine consciousness, and it is forever expressing itself, forming itself, and pouring itself forth. Your difficulty is not that this substance is absent from your life. Your difficulty is that you have been trained to look for its manifestation in the wrong direction. You are looking to the world of effects, to the already formed, and trying to manipulate it, when the real work is in the realm of cause, in the invisible realm of consciousness. Therefore, the transition from poverty to abundance, from struggle to flow, is not a transition of circumstances first. It is a transition of consciousness. It is a radical shift from being the pursuer on the shore to being the swimmer in the sea. It requires a profound and disciplined withdrawal of your faith from the external, objective world of markets and economies and jobs, and a reinvestment of that faith in the unseen, ever-present, and infinitely resourceful activity of the one divine mind. This is not a passive state of hoping or wishing. It is an active, dynamic, and demanding internal practice. It is the practice of stilling the frantic mind that is always calculating and fearing. It is the practice of turning within, past the noise of your personal desires and anxieties, to listen. In that quietness, you are not listening for a plan on how to get money. You are listening for the presence of itself. You are abiding in the conscious recognition that your very awareness is a form of this substance, that your life is an expression of this life, and that your identity is one with this infinite source. As you persist in this practice, a recalibration occurs. The frantic energy of pursuit begins to dissolve, replaced by a quiet, unshakable certainty. You are no longer a beggar at the door of life. You are a conscious center of divine expression. And from this position of unity, you find that your actions in the outer world are no longer driven by desperation, but are inspired, directed, and empowered from within. You are guided to the right opportunity. You are given the right idea. You are connected to the right people. The supply was never the problem. The state of consciousness that could not recognize or receive, it was the only barrier. This recognition that the struggle is an illusion born of misdirected focus leads us directly to the foundational truth, the principle of inner supply. It is here that we move from the problem to the solution, from the outer effect to the inner cause. The principle is this: all that appears in our experience as form, as substance, as supply, has its sole origin in the invisible realm of consciousness. It is not that consciousness creates supply as a potter molds clay. It is that consciousness is the very substance itself, taking form as our experience. The abundance you seek is not a thing to be created, but a reality to be recognized. It is the unceasing, outpouring activity of the one divine life. And your individual consciousness is not separate from this activity. It is a localized point of its expression. To understand this is to revolutionize your entire approach to life. You begin to see that the financial anxiety, the business problem, the feeling of lack, these are not solid, immovable realities. They are shadows cast by a specific activity of thought, a specific posture of the soul. They are the symptoms of a consciousness that has turned outward, believing itself to be a creator separate from its source, and therefore perpetually in a state of need. The moment you shift your attention from the shadow to the substance, from the outer condition to the inner activity, you are applying the principle. This is not a metaphysical theory to be believed, but a spiritual law to be demonstrated as concrete and reliable as the law of gravity. Let this become practical in your daily life. Consider the common experience of worry over a specific bill or financial obligation. The conventional mind, trapped in the illusion of outward pursuit, immediately begins its frantic calculations. It scans memory for resources. It projects fearful futures. It tightens with anxiety. This very activity of thought is a prayer to the god of lack. It is affirming the power and reality of the problem. Now, apply the principle of inner supply. Instead of engaging with the shadow, the bill, the number, the deadline, you turn completely away from it. You turn within. You become still. You do not beg for money to pay the bill. That would be to remain within the framework of the problem. Instead, you acknowledge the presence of the one substance, the infinite resource, the all-sustaining life. You consent to its reality. You affirm that this very consciousness that you are is one with that infinite source, and that it is now expressing itself, forming itself, as the specific form of supply required. This is not magic. It is metaphysics. You are not manipulating a universe. You are aligning yourself with its inherent nature. Another example. You are faced with a business that seems stagnant, or a career that offers no visible path forward. The old consciousness would urge you to force something, to push, to manipulate people and circumstances, to strive with great human effort. But you, understanding the principle, do the opposite. You withdraw your frantic human planning. You go into the silence. You acknowledge that the same infinite intelligence that orchestrates the galaxies knows the need and knows the perfect fulfillment. You rest in the truth that this intelligence is your intelligence, that its resources are your resources. You release the problem from the realm of personal power and place it in the realm of divine activity. Then, and this is crucial, you become receptive. You listen, and an idea will come. It may be a simple, gentle nudge to make a phone call you had not considered. It may be a sudden inspiration for a new approach. It may be a sense of peace that allows you to see an opportunity that was always there, but was obscured by your anxiety. This is the flow. This is the demonstration. The phone call leads to a new client. The inspiration opens a new door. The peace allows for clear, wise action. The supply appears, but it did not come from where you were looking. It unfolded from within, through the channel of a consciousness that had become quiet and receptive enough to let it through. The money, the opportunity, The solution was never not present. It was always present as unformed substance in the realm of cause. Your work was not to create it, but to provide the form of consciousness, the clarity, the peace, the faith that would allow it to take shape in your world as visible, tangible supply. The principle is always operating. Your demonstration is in your conscious union with it. This conscious union with the principle is not a passive state of hope. It is an active, dynamic, and continuous activity of conscious awareness. It is the very heart of the demonstration, the specific inner work that replaces the outer struggle. To understand that supply is spiritual substance is one thing. To become the conscious vehicle for its expression is the transformation itself. This activity is not thinking about God, nor is it affirming truths in the hope they will become real. It is the direct, present, moment recognition that your own awareness is the very place where the formless becomes form, where the infinite becomes specific, where the divine activity takes shape as your experience. Your awareness is not a bystander to this process. It is the very ground of its happening. This means that every moment, regardless of the outer picture, is an opportunity to engage in this creative activity. The bill on your desk, the empty space in your checking account, the silent phone. These are not realities to which you must react. They are merely pictures on a screen. The real activity is happening in the projector, which is your state of consciousness. When you feel the cold grip of fear about a financial situation, the old man would have you stare at the problem, analyze it, and wrestle with it. But now you understand that the feeling of fear is not a signal to look outward, but a signal to go deeper inward. The fear is a cloud obscuring the sun of your true consciousness. The work is to turn your attention away from the cloud and to abide in the awareness of the sun. Let this become practical. You are sitting at your desk, and the anxiety about a business transaction arises. The mind wants to spin tales of loss and failure. This is the critical moment. Instead of following that thought, you stop. You consciously withdraw your attention from the drama of the transaction. You close your eyes if you must. You feel the anxiety as a physical sensation, but you do not give it a story. You then bring your attention to the feeling of life itself, the simple, undeniable fact that you are conscious, that you are aware. You acknowledge, in that moment, this awareness that I am is not anxious. This awareness is the very substance of intelligence and peace. It is one with the infinite resource. It does not know lack. You are not repeating words. You are sinking into the truth of your own being. You are performing the activity of conscious awareness. Another example, you are about to enter a negotiation or a situation where you feel your supply is at stake. The temptation is to go in armed with strategies, defenses, and a desperate need to get. But you understanding this activity, prepare differently. You take a few moments in the car or in a quiet room. You do not rehearse your demands. You still the mind. You become aware of the silence behind the noise. You acknowledge that the same consciousness in you is in the person you are about to meet. You recognize that the outcome is not dependent on your personal cleverness, but on the harmonious activity of the one mind expressing itself through this situation. You go into the meeting not as a beggar, but as a conscious center of divine activity. Your words are then not born of fear, but of inspiration. Your presence is not one of lack, but of integrity and peace. This state of consciousness becomes the magnet, the organizing power that arranges the outer circumstances for a harmonious outcome. This activity must become as natural and continuous as breathing. It is not a technique you use in emergencies. It is a new way of living. While you are washing dishes, you can be conscious that the life flowing through your hands is the same substance as your supply. While you are walking, you can be aware that the intelligence guiding your steps is the same intelligence guiding your financial affairs. You are not trying to change anything in these moments. You are simply abiding in the conscious recognition of what is eternally true. You are aligning the focal point of your personal awareness with the infinite field of divine substance. From this aligned state, your actions in the world are transformed. You are not laboring to make money. You are expressing the fullness of your being, and the forms of supply naturally follow. The idea for a new service, the inspiration for a creative project, the impulse to connect with a certain person. These come as spontaneous impulses from this aligned state. They are the form that the formless substance takes when it flows through a clear and receptive channel. The effort is not in the outer doing, but in the inner maintaining of this conscious connection. The outer doing then becomes a joyful, inevitable expression, utterly devoid of the strain and fatigue that comes from believing you are the personal creator of your own supply. This conscious alignment, this continuous activity of abiding in awareness, reveals a truth so profound it can shatter the very foundation of your earthly struggles. It is the truth of your identity. You are not a physical being, separate from your source, trying to attract abundance into your life. Your true identity is one with the source itself. You are not a drop of water trying to get to the ocean. You are the ocean, appearing for a moment as a wave. The sense of a separate I that worries, plans, and strives is the final and most persistent illusion. When this sense of separation dissolves, even for a moment, the entire paradigm of lack and pursuit collapses. You are not a seeker of supply. You are the very substance of supply, individualized as your being. This is not a philosophical concept to be debated, but a living reality to be realized in the depths of your soul. The moment you feel, I am that infinite consciousness, I am that divine substance, the chase is over. The frantic energy you once expended on getting is replaced by a quiet, unshakable knowing of being. Your work is no longer to acquire, but to acknowledge. You are not building a connection to God. You are unveiling the truth that you are that connection, that you can no more be separated from the source of your supply than a sunbeam can be separated from the sun. Its nature is your nature. Its infinity is your inheritance. Let this truth move from abstraction into the concrete moments of your day. Consider the moment you receive an unexpected bill. The old self, the I, that feels separate and vulnerable, immediately contracts in fear. It sees itself as a small entity about to be diminished by a larger, hostile force. But now you pause. You turn from the paper and you go within. You ask, not with words, but with a deep, intuitive reaching. Who is this I that is afraid? What is its nature? In the stillness, you may sense that the fearful I is a collection of thoughts, memories, and sensations, and behind it, or rather, as the very space in which it appears, is a vast, silent, aware presence. That presence is what you truly are. It does not know fear because it is complete. It does not know lack because it is all. From that place of identity, you look at the bill. It has not changed, but your relationship to it has been utterly transformed. It is no longer a threat to your survival, but merely a form appearing in the infinite field of your consciousness. From this position of power and peace, the right action arises, not from panic, but from principle. You are guided to the solution because you are no longer identified with the problem. Take this into your professional life. You walk into a room to ask for a raise, to pitch a client, to seek an opportunity. The separate I goes in with a posture of need. It is a beggar, and its energy, no matter how well disguised, communicates a subtle desperation. It is trying to get something from someone else. But when you have touched upon your true identity, you enter that same room from an entirely different place. You know, I am not here as a limited person seeking validation or resources from another limited person. I am the one life meeting with itself. You speak, but the words are imbued with the authority of your being, not the anxiety of your persona. You are not trying to extract value. You are expressing the inherent value that you are. People may not understand this consciously, but they feel it. They respond to the power, the peace, and the lack of agenda. They are not being manipulated. They are being met at the level of soul. And the transaction that occurs is harmonious, right? And often exceeds the expectations of the separate self. This shift in identity is the master key. It is the final relinquishment of the burden of being the sole author and sustainer of your life. You are not the gardener desperately trying to make the plants grow. You are the soil, the rain, and the sunlight in which growth naturally occurs. Your responsibility is to maintain the clarity of your channel, to keep the awareness free from the weeds of fear and separation. The specific forms, the money, the opportunities, the solutions will emerge from the ground of your own being with a rightness and a timing that the personal mind could never orchestrate. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time, not because you calculated it, but because you are the consciousness that is the right place and the right time. You will have the right idea, not because you strained to invent it, but because you are the intelligence from which all ideas flow. This is the effortless attracting. It is not an action you perform. It is a state of being you inhabit. It is the natural consequence of a life that has remembered its name. This remembrance of your true name, this abiding in the consciousness of oneness, is not sustained by a single, fleeting moment of revelation. It is maintained through a dedicated and gentle practice, the practice of inner listening. This is the practical discipline that bridges the gap between the glorious glimpse of truth and its continuous demonstration in your daily affairs. It is the active, daily cultivation of the soil of consciousness so that the seeds of infinite possibility may take root and flourish. Inner listening is not listening for a voice. It is the act of becoming still enough to hear the silent hum of divine activity itself, the ceaseless flow of intelligence and substance that constitutes reality. This practice is the direct antidote to the noise of the world, the clamor of fear, and the relentless calculations of the personal mind. The world screams of lack, of danger, of competition. The personal mind, conditioned by a lifetime of separation, echoes this scream in an endless internal monologue of worry and strategy. Inner listening is the conscious decision to turn down the volume on that entire broadcast. It is not a fight against the noise. It is a gentle, firm turning of the attention toward a different frequency altogether, the frequency of silence, of peace, of pure being. In this silence, nothing is being said, but everything is known. In this quiet, you are not receiving information. You are being recalibrated to your source. Let this become the most practical part of your day. You do not need to retreat to a mountaintop. The moment you feel the familiar tightening in your chest, the knot of anxiety in your stomach about a financial matter, that is your signal. Instead of following the thought down its fearful path, you stop. You close your eyes if you can. You feel the physical sensation of the anxiety without labeling it or fighting it. You simply notice it. Then, you shift your attention from the sensation to the space in which the sensation is occurring. You listen to the silence behind the noise. You are not waiting for an answer to your problem. You are, in fact, letting go of the problem entirely. You are consenting to the presence of a peace that surpasses the mind's understanding. You are, in that moment, practicing the presence of God. Another example, you are faced with a decision that seems to have significant financial implications. The old way would be to make lists of pros and cons, to project outcomes, to seek advice from others. There is a place for reason, but it must not be the master. Before you engage the machinery of the intellect, you first must go into the silence. You sit with the decision. You present it not as a problem to be solved, but as a situation to be held in the light of consciousness. You listen. In the quiet, a subtle knowing may arise. It is not a loud voice, but a gentle inclination. It is a feeling of rightness or a sense of peace about one path and a feeling of contraction about another. This is the divine intelligence, your intelligence guiding you. The decision that emerges from this place will be in harmony with the entire universe. and its outcomes will reflect that harmony, often in ways your personal mind could never have foreseen. This practice must become as natural as breathing. While you are walking, you can listen to the silence between the sounds of the traffic. While you are washing your hands, you can feel the life in them and listen to the silent truth of your being. You are not doing this to get anything. You are doing it to be in alignment with what you are. The cumulative effect of this practice is a profound transformation of your entire life. The frantic need to know the future, to control outcomes, to secure your own safety begins to fall away. You develop an inner gyroscope, a stability that is not shaken by outer conditions. A check may be delayed, a client may say no, the market may fluctuate, but the center of your being, anchored in the silence, remains unmoved. And from this place of unwavering stillness, you find that your actions are inspired, precise, and powerful. You are guided to make the phone call, to write the email, to take the risk, but it is done without the sweat of personal effort. It is done with the ease of a leaf turning toward the sun. This is the effortless attracting. It is the natural, inevitable result of a consciousness that has become a clear, receptive vessel through which the infinite can pour itself forth into form as the specific supply for every need. The ultimate fulfillment of this entire journey is not merely the appearance of a sum of money or the resolution of a financial crisis. It is the living demonstration of the unseen law. This demonstration is the tangible, visible evidence in your outer world that proves the inner principle is not a theory, but a functioning reality. It is where the rubber meets the road. Your demonstration is the specific, individual proof that consciousness is cause, that your identity is one with the source, and that inner listening aligns you with an infinite and intelligent flow of substance that must, by its own nature, take form. This is not about hoping or believing. It is about knowing through experience. It is the fruit that appears on the tree, confirming that the roots are deep and the sap is flowing. This demonstration often comes in ways that the personal, calculating mind could never have orchestrated. The human mind, steeped in the illusion of outward pursuit, plans in straight lines. It seeks to force a specific result through sheer effort and will. But the flow of infinite substance moves in curves and circles, connecting dots you did not even know existed. Your demonstration may not arrive as the exact check you were visualizing. It may arrive as a sudden opportunity that renders the bill irrelevant. It may come as a chance meeting with someone who offers you a solution you had not conceived. It may appear as a creative idea that unlocks a new stream of income you never anticipated. The form is secondary. The proof is in the undeniable and often unexpected fulfillment of the need, arriving with a sense of grace and rightness that feels like a miracle, but is, in fact, the natural operation of a spiritual law. Let this become concrete in your understanding. You have been practicing the stillness, abiding in the consciousness of oneness, and you face a situation where a specific amount of money is required by a specific date. The old man would have exhausted himself, sending out resumes, begging for loans, selling possessions in a panic. But you, having turned within and listened, feel a profound sense of peace. You are not idle, you are attentive. Then an impulse comes. It feels quiet but firm. It tells you to call an old acquaintance, not to ask for anything, but simply to connect. During that conversation, they mention a project they are working on, and they feel compelled to ask for your help, offering a fee that is exactly what you require. This is a demonstration. The personal mind did not arrange this. It was guided from a higher level of intelligence, and you were the instrument because your consciousness was clear and receptive. Another example, you are building a business and you hit a wall. Growth has stalled. The conventional wisdom says to pour more money into advertising, to push harder, to strain. But you, knowing the law, go into the silence. You release the problem. You acknowledge that the same infinite intelligence that built the universe can build this business, for it is the same substance. In the quiet, an idea forms. It is a simple adjustment to your service, a way of adding more value with less effort. It comes not as a strained thought, but as an inspired download. You implement it almost effortlessly. A week later, a client arrives, referred by someone you barely remember, and they sign a contract that dwarfs your previous expectations. This is not a lucky break. This is the unseen law of mind in action, demonstrating itself through you, because you provided the consciousness of peace and expectancy instead of the consciousness of force and fear. The consistency of your demonstration is the measure of your abiding in the truth. It is not that you will never face challenges. It is that the challenges will cease to be threats and become instead opportunities to witness the law in action. A delayed payment is no longer a crisis. It is a call to go deeper into the silence and witness the creativity of the infinite. A closed door is not a failure. It is a divine redirect, steering you toward a door you could not see. Your life becomes a continuous, unfolding revelation. You begin to see the invisible hand arranging circumstances, connecting people, and providing ideas. You stop being the anxious architect of your own life and become the joyful witness to a grander design in which you are both a cherished part and the whole. You live with a sense of awe and certainty, knowing that the substance is always flowing, the intelligence is always guiding, and your only work is to maintain the purity of your consciousness, to keep the channel open, and to watch with gratitude as the unseen becomes seen, the formless becomes form, and your every need is met from the infinite riches of the kingdom within.